Hola! So today I am going to be filming quite a lot of videos because I will be away for a while and I just want to keep the content coming. But I will also be talking about my detransition. I don't think I've ever actually talked about it. I know that in a few interviews I have mentioned that I stopped taking hormones. And I just want to talk about why I did that, what that meant, and how things have changed, all of that kind of stuff. And just my transition, really, I've never really spoken about. And I should probably do that, so I'm going to film a few transition videos, talking about my transition, talking about being trans, all of that. So get ready to have all those videos come out over the next few weeks, or just all in one week. Anyway, I'm rambling, so I want to tell you about my detransition. I did stop taking hormones. I actually stopped taking hormones 2 years ago. It could even be closer to 3 years ago because it was a while before I got my boobs done that I stopped taking hormones. So I started taking hormones to begin my transition. As most people that begin their transition, that's normally where they start. I had never had high testosterone levels, and I always had really low. I always had high estrogen and low testosterone. So there was two issues. I had to take a small amount, a very small amount, which in the end kind of seemed frivolous to me and a little bit pointless, but also it started to have an adverse effect on me. A lot of people don't talk about this when they talk about their transition, even though your doctor will tell you. And when you get your estrogen, it even says in there, it can increase hair growth. It can, do all these things. It can just pretty much increase testosterone levels as an adverse reaction. Because I already had high estrogen levels and low testosterone, by blocking the testosterone, my body then began to try and overproduce testosterone. So until I started taking HRT, I never had a brow bone. My Adam's apple was not really defined. And I guess that's about it. Those are really the main changes I saw, which are very unfortunate because those are the changes that you have to have quite invasive surgery to change back. The hair growth never really changed. I naturally am very hairy. As you can see, I have not shaved. I actually hadn't shaved all weekend, and I was about to shave before I filmed this video, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to be talking about detransitioning. I want to be honest about being trans. I never really see trans women show that we still grow body hair. I've had quite a lot of laser, and look, you can see that kind of looks like a scar, but electrolysis, which takes hours. So long, so painful. I can talk about that in another video if you're wanting me to, because I will be having more electrolysis anyway, along with some other surgeries, and I kind of want to talk about that as well. So I did start hormones. It had a bit of an adverse reaction, and to be honest, a lot of the effects estrogen has for trans women and why it's important to them, how it helps them, how it changes how you look, has a lot to do with fat distribution. I've always been underweight, so that it never helped because it doesn't, what's it going to do? It's not going to shrink your bones and make you look daintier or anything like that. It really just changes fat distribution. As far as visually, it changes a lot of other things, how you think, how you feel, your sex drive, your sexual organs change quite a bit, which I'm not complaining about, to be honest. It makes wearing certain outfits a lot easier. But where was I? Taking estrogen. Yeah, it just had a lot to do with fat distribution. I've always been underweight, so it didn't have a huge impact on me. So I was taking it every day. It was making me emotional. It was having adverse reactions. I have no fat to redistribute. So it really was very, at the time, I felt pointless. I knew that I was going to continue to have plastic surgery. I knew how I wanted to look, what I wanted to look like, what I wanted to do. And taking estrogen and testosterone blockers, if anything, were making that harder. And to be honest, people that try and... I have a bit of an issue with the idea of HRT. It can really help you. It can really benefit you. It can make you feel a lot better. It can make you feel like you are working towards something, and that's important. That's really important. It definitely did that for me. That's why I started taking it. That's why I took it for a whole year, is because at that point I hadn't done anything else as far as transitioning. I had had some work done, and even up until now, the only real surgery I've had as far as like gender related is getting my boobs done. Everything else has just been about how I look, how I wanted to look. I always wanted to maintain a certain level of androgyny, because that's just who I am. I've always been very androgynous. I would definitely think of myself as an androgynous woman. I know for a lot of you that'll just kind of be splitting hairs, because like going from a man to a woman, but then wanting to maintain some masculinity can be a little confusing for some of you. I understand that. And I am just noticing how far my ears stick out. And I will be doing a plastic surgery video later today, so we will talk about that. I will get into that in another video. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I won't have my beard in that video, but I aside from getting my boobs done, I haven't had any surgeries to feminize myself. I've never done anything to try and feminize myself because I have wanted to maintain my androgyny. So I did stop taking estrogen. I stopped taking estrogen, I got my boobs done, and I just continued to not take estrogen. Aside from my brow bone growing because my body started to overproduce testosterone, nothing really happened, nothing changed for me. I was still the same, other than my sex drive got really high, really fast, could do nothing about it, caused a lot of problems for me actually. Other than that, like, as far as hormones for me, it didn't do a whole lot, again, because I had such high estrogen levels. So, something I have never spoken about, ever, I don't even know, I know my family knows, because I was quite young when I did this. I used to take testosterone way before I came out as trans, way before I wanted to transition. It was a part of me understanding my transition. I also was really underweight, so my body wasn't building muscle, I wasn't retaining fat. Get into that, a lot of the things I'm mentioning, I'm going to mention in other videos because I'm filming this all today. I'm spending about 8 hours filming, so all of these things, if you're like, oh, I want to know about that, I'm probably going to mention it in another video, so please subscribe, turn the bell notifications on so you can get that and kind of, you know, connect the dots, because I'm all over the place, we know that. But I did start taking testosterone before I transitioned. The testosterone, it really did nothing for me. I wasn't on it for a very long time. It just really was to help with my weight, going to the gym, wanting to pursue. I went through a period of, just before I came out as trans and before I decided to transition, all of that, I wanted to make sure that I was making the right decision. So I lived my most masculine life. I studied fitness, I shaved my head. We all know that. I was on X Factor, completely bald. It was a mess. And that, the rest is history, I guess. But I did take testosterone, and nobody really knows that. It was a gel that you had to like rub on like your chest or your stomach, and you had to like alternate where it would go, because it would like cause a lot of like skin issues, I guess. If you would put it in one area, you had to be careful about putting it over the heart. It was a whole kind of, it was insane. So I did take testosterone before I started taking estrogen. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, that's counterproductive, you seem like a bit of a mess. I work very closely with my doctors. I'm still very close with my doctors, just on a personal level. I speak to them quite often. They were very aware of what I was wanting to do, what I was wanting to achieve, and what I was wanting to understand. It was never about taking the testosterone wasn't about like, I want to avoid being trans, so I'm going to take testosterone and I'm going to be masculine and tough. It was wanting to make sure that I didn't go, I've always been a feminine boy, the next step is just to transition, and then 10 years down the track I regret it. I genuinely wasn't happy as a gay man. That's just a fact. I also did try and date a gay man, which was awful, and I can get into that. And I might use names because he is somebody you may know. And it just was like not fun. And I just, which that doesn't play a part in gender, who you date. Like it's never been about who I date or who I could date. It just was a part of me understanding, you know, how I feel. And it really made it very clear to me, transition. So I started hormones. It helped me feel like I was working towards being trans. It helped me feel like I could validate my transition. You know, if I tell people like, oh, I'm trans, but I still look like a boy, I'm growing out my like buzz cut, all of that, you know, it's kind of like, it's all like, yeah, we can all say anything. So in a way, HRT, I think, is used a lot of the time to validate a transition, particularly in the early stages, which I see no problem with, you know. It definitely helps you feel better. It feels like you're working towards it and you're actually doing something about it. If you have more body fat than me, it will probably do wonders for you. And that is going to bring me into why. Another thing is also why I stopped taking hormones is I just don't care how much estrogen I have in my body. It does nothing for me. At this point, I'm very confident in my transition. I've had my boobs done. It's very public that I've transitioned, that I'm trans. People consider me a woman. People consider me a trans woman. People are aware. So I don't care if I have estrogen in my body or not. Which also may confuse some of you. Look, gender's a hard thing to understand, especially when it comes to transitioning. And I probably am not the best person to try and explain anything to you because I have done it my way. I've taken my time. I've maybe rushed certain things. I don't know if I did rush. Although when I compare myself to others, which is not a good thing to do, I do, like, a lot of people are like, wow, you transitioned really fast, because being completely bald, never mentioning it, to beginning my transition, still hadn't mentioned it to anyone other than my family and friends. I came out publicly as trans, and then 6 months later, got my boobs done. It was in the media. I'm like, I'm a trans woman. I know everything about being trans. Never said that, never thought that, but you know what I mean. So for a lot of people, it has been a very fast transition, but I've really taken my time. As when I first started thinking about it was about 6 years ago. So it's been a 6-year journey, not all of it involving transitioning into a woman, but all of it involving understanding myself, why I want to become a woman, why I feel this way, are there external reasons for that, you know, all of that stuff. And I can get into that in another video. I'm talking and I'm taking mental notes, so you're going to see all these videos that I'm coming up with on the spot, because I do have to film for about 6 to 8 hours today. You already know that. Let's carry on. The reason I'm bringing this up, and I would have never brought it up ever if I weren't in the place I am right now. I have always been underweight, as I've said 1,000 times in this video, and I want to gain more weight. So that is where the issues come in. Because if I gain weight, I start producing more testosterone. I also am at a place in my life now at 23 that my body has started to produce enough testosterone for me to take estrogen and testosterone blockers without it having an adverse effect. Ideally, you know, we'll take it as it comes. We'll see what happens. But I am starting estrogen again. And it kind of, it worries me. Just because it feels like I'm back at step 1, and I really am considering this step 1. As I said, I've never taken any, other than my boobs, I haven't done anything to look like a woman, because I haven't wanted to. I've always wanted to look like myself, and I'm at a place now where I'm confident in my transness, and I'm confident in being a woman, and I'm confident in just who I am, where I'm at in life, that I think I am ready to begin some of the more feminizing things, you know, like getting my jaw slimmed and maybe my brow bone and my Adam's apple and some other body stuff. But the main thing right now, step one is gaining weight, because I'm very underweight. Well, I'm actually not that underweight anymore. I'm just very tall, so I'm very thin, and I'm kind of in the habit of referring to myself as underweight when I refer to myself as thin. I am very thin, not as thin as I used to be. Anyone that knows me from about 2011 knows how bad things got as far as my weight goes. Again, another video, subscribe, bell icon, you know. So yeah, I have decided that I want to start gaining weight. So I'm going to start taking estrogen and testosterone blockers again. This marks day one, where I will do that. I will probably give you guys updates, now that I am posting videos more. It would make sense to give you guys updates, and that I am opening this up to everyone, because I haven't ever really spoken about my transition in this capacity where I'm just telling you about my transition. You can read about it, you can hear about it from other people, you can listen to interviews, but I have never been the person to, even though I'm the one saying like, oh yeah, but it's answering questions that people are giving me looking for an answer, or it's being rewritten in an article, and I just kind of want to do my best to be open about my transition, share it, and just, yeah, be some kind of influence and role model, and show a lot of people kind of polish their transition, and I don't want to do that. Again, I'm sitting here with a goatee, because it's just a part of it, you know. I don't shave every day. I have had IPL, I've had laser, also chemical peels sometimes can burn out follicles. Learned that the hard way, because I have a patch under here from when, I mean, it's a good thing because the hair doesn't grow there, but fun fact, also get chemical peels. They might help you with your beard or anywhere else. You can get chemical peels literally, not everywhere on your body, but most places on your body. I'm rambling. I'm back on estrogen. I didn't take estrogen for 2 years. Very little changed for me, again, because of my weight and all of that. I did notice, though, the slight breast tissue that I had. It was very minimal, but it was there. It didn't go away, but it just kind of, like, relaxed itself. And then when I had my boobs done, I guess the fatty tissue was stretched over the implants, so it really made no difference. I may as well have just not been on hormones. Now I'm in a place where I can take them and have a visual effect, which is what I'm looking for now that I'm ready to begin this next stage of my transition and work on maybe becoming more womanly, which in the past had not always been my goal. Yeah, if you guys will have questions, so ask me. Because this isn't new to me, so I'm already caught up with what happens, what goes on, what, you know, all of that stuff, but you guys aren't. So ask questions so I can answer them, because I don't know what you guys don't know about this kind of stuff. So that's probably a good way for us to go about it. Ask questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'm always transparent about my transition with absolutely everyone I know. One thing I haven't mentioned, yeah, and I don't know how I forgot it, is when I was taking hormones, I would get period cramps. It was once a month. I would get cramps in my stomach. I don't know what was cramping because there's no uterus in there. We know that. But every single month I would get bloated and my stomach would cramp. And my endocrinologist did explain it to me. I just don't remember what it was, but it happened and it was not fun. I'm not looking forward to that, but it comes with the territory, doesn't it? So I kind of have no choice. But this is me with a beard and no makeup, and I will be doing a full face in the next video, which you will probably see later this week. I want to say tomorrow, but you know how lazy I am. But this week. It will be out the same week this video is out. You will see that, and you'll see... I should change my top, but you guys are going to know I filmed it today. Anyway, like and subscribe, because I am beginning a new transition towards the same thing. Very confusing, very underwhelming, but that's how I do things. So thanks for watching.